So, when you hear the word war, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For most of us, it's probably something big, right? Something cinematic. But today, we're going to dive into a completely different kind of conflict, one that's fought not with overwhelming force, but with patience, influence, and a whole lot of indirect power. Yeah, it usually looks a little something like this. These huge columns of tanks just rolling across vast open landscapes. This is that classic image of a ground invasion, straight out of a history book or a movie. Or maybe you think of the sound, that deafening roar of fighter jets screaming through the sky. It's a clear symbol of air superiority, of raw technological might. This is what we think of as direct, head-to-head conflict. And of course, there's this, cities shaking under heavy bombardment. It's the destructive power of conventional warfare on full display. This is how major conflicts have been fought for a long, long time. It's decisive, it's visible, and it's all built on direct confrontation. But what if a war doesn't look like this at all? What if there's another way to fight? A strategy that isn't designed for quick, decisive battles, but one that's built to slowly shape a conflict over years, maybe even decades. Well, that is precisely the approach Iran has refined, and it changes pretty much everything we think we know about modern warfare. Okay, to really get our heads around how this works, we need to talk about a core military concept: asymmetric warfare. It's all about fundamentally changing the rules of the game. The idea is actually pretty simple. If you know you can't win a straight-up, head-to-head fight against a much more powerful opponent, well, you don't play their game. You just avoid that direct fight altogether. And instead, you use indirect methods, things like sabotage, cyber attacks, and proxy forces to slowly and methodically wear your adversary down over time. And when you put the two side by side, the difference is just stark. Conventional war, its goal is to overpower an enemy in big, decisive battles with traditional armies and fleets. Asymmetric war is the complete opposite. The goal is to wear them down through long-term pressure using indirect forces like proxies and drones. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So, how does this theory actually play out in the real world? Well, for Iran, this isn't just some textbook concept. It's a very real, very extensive network. Instead of relying only on its own military, Iran has spent decades building this huge web of partners and allied groups all across the Middle East. And just look at the scope of this thing. It is vast. We're talking about powerful established groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon, various militias in Iraq, the Houthis down in Yemen, and other allied movements in places like Syria and Gaza. This network lets Iran project its influence way, way beyond its own borders. And here's the absolute key to how it works. Iran almost never sends large numbers of its own soldiers into these fights. Instead, it acts like the coach, the quarterback. It provides the funding, the advanced weapons, the expert training, and the strategic direction these groups need to be effective. This all leads to something military analysts call war below the threshold, and it's a fascinating idea. It's a strategy of applying this constant, intense pressure through proxies, cyber attacks, whatever it might be, while always staying just below the level that would trigger a massive, all-out conventional war. The result? You get persistent instability, but without the risk of a huge direct retaliation. All right, but this strategy isn't just about people. It's also about a really clever use of geography and technology. Iran has two other major tools in its arsenal that really amplify its influence on the world stage. First up, geography. Just look at where Iran is on the map. It's one of the most strategically important places on the entire planet. And why? Because it sits right alongside this narrow little waterway, the Strait of Hormuz, which is basically a vital artery for the global economy. So how vital is it really? Get this, roughly one-fifth of the entire world's daily oil supply passes right through that narrow strait. That is an unbelievable amount of economic power all concentrated in one tiny geographic area. So you can see how this works, right? The cause and effect is simple, but it is so powerful. Any disruption here, or even just the threat of a disruption, can cause global oil prices to skyrocket, and that sends shockwaves through the economies of countries thousands of miles away. That gives Iran immense strategic leverage. And then alongside geography, you've got technology. Iran has invested heavily in two key areas: ballistic missiles that are capable of hitting distant targets, and drones. Now, drones have been a total game changer. They're cheap, they're numerous, and when you use them in swarms, they can overwhelm even the most sophisticated air defense systems out there. Okay, so we have the theory, asymmetric warfare. We have the network, the axis of resistance, and we have the tools, geography and technology. But there is one final, crucial element that ties this all together, and it's something you can't even see: patience. This is not a strategy designed for quick wins, not at all. It's a slow, deliberate process that unfolds in stages. First, you consistently support your allies. You build up their strength, their loyalty, and you do it over many, many years. Next, you use that network to apply calculated pressure. We're talking small attacks, political maneuvering, economic disruption, anything to keep your opponents off balance and guessing. And this part is so important. You do all of this while avoiding a direct, large-scale war. You achieve your goals without triggering a devastating conflict that you might not actually win. And finally, you wait. It's a strategy of endurance that unfolds over decades, not days. You patiently wait for the right strategic opportunities to emerge. And this really synthesizes the entire philosophy. It's not about winning a single battle or conquering a piece of territory. The true objective is to gradually shift the balance of power across an entire region, securing a long-term strategic advantage. It's a slow, complex game of power that's played out over generations. Which leaves us with a pretty fundamental question, doesn't it? In this modern era of shadow wars and proxy networks and conflicts without clear beginnings or ends, what does it even mean to win anymore? It really forces us to rethink our entire understanding of what conflict even is. Thank you for watching. And if you like my content, please do not forget to like and subscribe.